Around 4500 BCE, in a patch of land we now call southern Iraq, something remarkable happened. People started building cities, not just villages, but full-on cities with walls, temples, and bustling marketplaces. They called this place Sumer, widely credited as the world's first civilization. These folks invented some of the most important things we take for granted today: writing, the wheel, irrigation systems that could turn desert into farmland. Basically, they set the blueprint for civilization itself, which is impressive because before Sumer, human groups mostly wandered around hunting or farming small patches. But here's the mystery. How did a group of people just suddenly leap into this high-tech, organized society? There's no obvious before for them in the archaeological record. It's like civilization popped up overnight. Where did their knowledge come from? Did they build on lost cultures we haven't found yet? Or did they get a little help from somewhere else? Maybe stories, maybe something stranger. That sudden burst of advancement sets the stage for everything that follows. Sumer wasn't just the start of cities, it was the start of history, because writing started here too. And with writing came stories, laws, secrets, things people wanted to record or maybe hide. So buckle up. This is where civilization's first mysteries begin. All right, so the Sumerians didn't just stumble onto writing. They made it their entire life's work. Cuneiform writing wasn't poetry or ancient tweets at first. It was practical stuff: inventory lists, trade deals, taxes, and legal contracts. Think of it as the original paperwork nightmare. Only instead of boring forms, they pressed wedge-shaped marks into clay tablets and baked them hard enough to survive thousands of years. Which, means their ancient to-do lists are now a priceless treasure trove for archaeologists. But here's where it gets interesting. Buried among these dusty business records and grocery lists are epic myths and stories. The most famous? The Epic of Gilgamesh, a tale of a king on a quest for immortality that doubles as a meditation on friendship, loss, and what it means to be human. It's ancient literature with surprising emotional depth, and it's about 4,000 years old. And the story doesn't end there. Some tablets are more cryptic. Archaeologists have uncovered thousands of tablets with obscure codes, strange symbols, and references to celestial events that modern science is still trying to figure out. These tablets discussing the movements of stars and planets with a precision that's unexpected for a civilization so ancient. Did they have a secret knowledge of astronomy? Did those celestial observations influence their culture or religion? We don't know for sure. Then there are tablets that hint at events that don't make much sense. Strange floods, catastrophic fires, and even warnings that sound like something out of a conspiracy theory. Were these literal accounts, metaphors, or just ancient storytelling? It's a puzzle. And don't forget, many of these tablets are still undeciphered or partially understood. Sumerian is a complex language, and some tablets contain shorthand or code we haven't cracked. Every year, new tablets are found, adding pieces to the puzzle, but also raising fresh questions. So here's the core mystery. What secrets are locked away in this mountain of clay? And how much of Sumerian knowledge, history, science, spirituality, are we still missing? It's a tantalizing mix of history and mystery, like a very, very old text message you can't quite read, but desperately want to. Now, if you thought your family reunions were messy, wait until you meet the Sumerian gods. Their pantheon reads less like divine beings and more like a soap opera full of jealousy, betrayal, and power plays. These gods weren't above throwing tantrums, playing favorites, or downright screwing each other over. Think of them as ancient reality TV stars, only with the fate of humanity occasionally hanging in the balance. Take Anu, the sky god, who basically sat at the top of the hierarchy, handing out power like a poker dealer who's losing his grip. Then there's Enlil, god of air and storms, who could be ruthless and unpredictable, sometimes deciding the fate of humans with a snap of his fingers. And Inanna, the goddess of love and war, who was equal parts diva and warrior queen. Their stories are full of drama, betrayals, punishments, quests for revenge, you name it. But beyond the drama, there's a method to the madness. These myths weren't just entertainment. They reflected the Sumerians' attempt to understand the world, the floods, the changing seasons, disease, death. Their gods explained what science hadn't yet figured out, and sometimes the gods' violent quarrels mirrored the chaos humans experienced in daily life. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Some scholars believe these myths may hold coded historical events or warnings, flood stories that seem eerily close to massive ancient floods, or battles between gods that could represent real conflicts between city-states. Were these myths just stories, or were they trying to preserve truth wrapped in metaphor? Either way, the Sumerian gods weren't just characters in old stories. They're key players in a culture wrestling with the mysteries of existence, and their antics still offer clues, if you know where to look. Sumeria gave the world cities, writing, law codes, and enough culture to fill several history books. Yet, somehow, this civilization disappeared off the map like the coolest kid in school who just moves away without telling anyone why. By around 2000 BCE, the Sumerians' time in the spotlight was over. Their cities were conquered, their language faded, and their influence became something of a ghost story told by later empires. So what went wrong? Theories are plenty, but no one's got a definitive answer. For starters, war wasn't kind. The Sumerian city-states, basically little kingdoms, were always at each other's throats. Alliances shifted, battles raged, and power changed hands. Constant conflict weakened them from within. Then there's the environment. Recent research suggests a serious climate shift hit the region. Droughts, salt buildup in the soil, and the collapse of irrigation systems made farming unreliable. If your economy depends on crops and those crops start dying, that's a problem bigger than bad weather. It's a problem that leads to food shortages, population decline, and social unrest. Political instability also played a role. As power concentrated in fewer hands, corruption and mismanagement likely rose. The sophisticated bureaucracies that once kept Sumerian society humming might have started to fall under pressure. And the Sumerians didn't just lose power, they lost their identity. Their language died out, replaced by Akkadian and later Babylonian. Their temples crumbled and were repurposed. Their gods were borrowed and renamed by conquering cultures. The people themselves, absorbed, displaced, or forgotten. What's fascinating is how much of modern civilization owes to Sumeria, yet how little of their direct legacy survived intact. They set the foundation, then vanished, leaving behind tantalizing clues and unanswered questions. Archaeologists keep digging, literally, for answers, but the story of Sumeria's fall is a puzzle with missing pieces. Did some secret catastrophe wipe them out, or was it the slow burn of war, drought, and politics? We may never know for sure, and that's the mystery that keeps this ancient civilization alive in our imagination. After thousands of years and piles of painstaking archaeological work, you might expect that Sumeria's story is neatly wrapped up, a complete origin tale with every question answered. But the reality is more complicated. Sumeria remains a giant puzzle, one where some of the most important pieces are still missing, buried under layers of sand and time. We know they invented writing, but the why and the how behind that breakthrough still leaves plenty of room for speculation. Did they create it purely for accounting and administration, or was there a deeper purpose, like recording sacred knowledge, secret histories, or warnings? The tablets we've found tell us a lot, but not everything. Then there's the question of origins. Sumeria seemed to emerge suddenly, fully formed with cities, technologies, and a complex social structure. But where did their knowledge come from? Were there earlier cultures we haven't discovered yet that laid the groundwork? Did they absorb ideas from neighbors lost to history? Or, as some fringe theories suggest, was there something else, an outside influence we can't prove, but can't entirely dismiss? Even their gods, full of drama and chaos, may hold clues to real events, disguised in metaphor and allegory. The Sumerians used myth to explain the unexplainable, to find order in disorder, but modern scholars are still piecing together which parts are belief, which parts were history, and which parts are pure imagination. Lastly, the disappearance of Sumeria itself remains an open question. They set civilization's foundation and then faded, swallowed by time and other powers. Their language vanished, their cities crumbled, and their culture became a whisper in the grand narrative of history. What can that teach us about the fragility of even the most advanced societies? So here we stand, looking back at the cradle of civilization and realizing it's still holding on to its secrets. Their story isn't just ancient history. It's a reminder that no matter how much we discover, some mysteries resist closure. And maybe that's what keeps us coming back, the hope that we'll uncover one more tablet, one more clue, one more story to fill in the gaps. In the end, Sumeria is brilliant and baffling, full of achievements that shaped humanity and mysteries that keep us wondering. For a civilization that's given us writing, cities, and law, their greatest legacy might just be the questions they left behind. Thanks for listening to 10-Minute Mystery. I'm Joe, the host, and if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you go back and binge the rest of the episodes of 10-Minute Mystery. There's a whole stack of stories just like this one. Unsolved, unexplained, and sometimes just weird. If you haven't checked out 10-Minute Murder yet, that's where true crime lives. That's my other podcast. Same voice, same vibe, but with actual crimes. You can follow along on social media or head over to 10minutemurder.com. Again, thank you so much for listening to 10-Minute Mystery.